So what we wanted to do today is go through our top 5 campgrounds. So hopefully in 2021, you'll have a chance to either get close or actually go visit them yourself. And so are you ready for me to start?
Yeah, and what we're going to do is share our screen and show you some clips as we talk about these campgrounds. And we really couldn't put these in any order. We came up with our top 5 and we were trying to put them in an order, kind of what do you call that, like countdown style. But we want to go back to all of them. So instead, what we decided to do is just go West Coast to East Coast. Although I do think we end on our favorite.
Yeah. So the first one is the Crescent City Redwoods KOA. And this is up in Crescent City, California, which is pretty much on the border with Oregon.
Yeah.
And so I'll let Julie talk about this one.
So one thing that I especially liked about it, I think my favorite part of it is what you're seeing right here is nature trails that go right through the actual campground that have these massive redwoods in them. So you actually don't even have to leave the campground. Now, it is a beautiful campground, although you can see that the sites are fairly close. And one thing that I'll say is that this big rig right here that you're looking at, which was a motorhome, didn't have a problem. But I think in a 5th wheel big rig, it would have been some real tight turns, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, yeah. If we would have still had our cyclone, we would have not been able to stay in this park. It was it wasn't the site itself, it was more the turns within the park. I think that made it difficult. There were some really tight turns that made it hard to maneuver a very long 5th wheel like we had before, but we had our Arctic Fox and it was no problem.
Yeah, and the Arctic Fox is 30 feet. And then you see they also have these little rental cabins. And then also all throughout those nature trails and these roads right here that you were just looking at, these right here, these actually go back into this whole almost labyrinth of nature trails that I just absolutely love. They also had all these tent sites back there. So anyone who's a tent camper, if you have family members who wanted to join you and they like tent camping, that would be a really great place for it. And then, of course, I think, how far was it from so it's really interesting. They call it Redwoods National and State Parks. It's like it's this one thing. It's not like separate national and separate state parks. And it was actually a couple different state parks, but the one we were by, I think, is called Jedediah Smith.
Maybe.
Yeah. And it was no more than a 15-minute drive, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then the area, besides going and hiking through these amazing redwoods, right, you're close to the coast, and right on the coast when we were there was when the sea lions were mating, and you could go sit on the shoreline
and not watch the mating though.
And have a set of binoculars, and you could just see this thing that looked like an island, but it was just a mass of seals, sea lions out there, and you could hear them making all their noise, talking to each other. That was pretty cool. And then just, you know, the cliffs along the coastline and things. It was just an amazing part of California.
Yeah, there was a lighthouse. So in the description below after this video, if you want to see, we have like a full video just on this campground.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. All right. So moving in a little bit, next was the Tucson Lazy Days KOA.
And I just want to read a comment from Wheeling with the Wendy's. They're leaving this resort tomorrow.
Oh, okay. And we have fond memories of this resort because Lance and Flo were actually there with us when we were one of the 2 times that we went there. They were there with us. And so, you know, that's one of the great things about RVing is that you meet other RVers and you seem to run into them from time to time. And in Tucson, a lot of people go there in the winter time because it's such great weather. And there's several different campgrounds, RV resorts, and boondocking areas. So when we were there, again, we saw Kenny and Sabrina because they were boondocking nearby. We also saw other friends who were staying at other campgrounds, and then they came to visit us.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that we really like about this particular KOA is the amenities. They have 2 pools, and each one also has a hot tub. So there's one in the front of the campground and one in the back of the campground. This is the one in the front, and that building right there behind it is a bar and a restaurant. They also had a fitness room.
This is the one in the back, by the way.
Oh, this is the one in the back. Okay, so the first one, that's the laundry room. Sorry, it's a fancy laundry room, isn't it? And the one in the front also had a bar and a restaurant that was co-located with it as well. So it definitely had some really nice amenities there. But they also had some really amazing sites. They had like all these different levels of sites. So this one is a deluxe site. You can see it had like an outdoor, right over here to the left, it had like a little outdoor fireplace. But these were so cool. Some of these sites had their own private little dog parks, and you see it even had grass. And we knew someone who was staying at one of these, and the dog park was situated up towards the front of their RV. So right when they opened their RV door, their little dog could just run out. And she said she timed when the sprinklers went off so that she wouldn't get soaked on it. But then they also had some that had deluxe kitchens. And then we trying to save a few bucks, and we really just wanted the amenities of the campground itself. We stayed in just a standard site, and they had a really good monthly discount for these standard sites. And it was plenty of room. At the time we had our cyclone, plenty of room for that, had a nice little patio there. And that tree up above us was a lemon tree.
Yeah, almost every site has a fruit tree, either lemons or oranges, I think. And like Julie said, we really wanted the amenities, and the pools there were awesome. We swam every day.
And the other great thing about Tucson, like I said, it just has really nice weather. But also we went again, we were there in the winter, and then we went again in the summer because we wanted to see what it was like. And a lot of people might think that's kind of crazy because it was like over 100 degrees during the day. But in the evenings, and when we went back the second time, we had our Arctic fox, and our Arctic fox stayed nice and cool. And then in the evenings, we will go ride our bikes, because right outside of this KOA, there's access to these trails they have. And it's like, what, 50 miles of trails or something?
More than that, I think.
Yeah.
Paved bike trails, better than the roads, actually.
Probably the nicest ones we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, really nice paved bike trails that went all around Tucson and around the outskirts of Tucson. I mean, just really fabulous.
Yep. And then there's not too far away, there's some cool things to see. The Titan Missile Museum was there. There's an observatory that's not too far away. And then just going up on Mount Lemmon is pretty cool as well. So
yeah,
lots to see in
the
area.
winter they have a skiing up on Mount Lemmon, and in the summertime we went and rode the ski lift just for a good scenic view. And
there's some pretty good vegan restaurants in the Tucson area as well. So yeah, it was really good spot.
So the next one is in Texas, and it is Maverick Ranch. It's called Lajitas, Texas. This one is actually right outside of Big Bend Ranch State Park. And when I say right outside, I mean you can access a hiking trail for that state park from the campground. Let's go back to, we forgot, and Kenny just brought it up, that in Tucson at that Lazy Days KOA, they have some spots that are under solar panels. So you're completely shaded, which is pretty cool too, especially in the summer. Yeah. Oh, and let me just say also that we have a whole video dedicated to that Tucson Lazy Days KOA, because there is so much there. And when I talk about the deluxe sites, they even had some that had like a patio on like a second floor that you could go up on. I mean, yeah. And then amazing. One thing back, all the way back to the beginning, the Crescent City KOA, the owner, we actually talked with him while we were there, and he was getting ready to sell it. So if it's still a KOA, I'm sure they've maintained the same standards, but you know, read some reviews before you go there to make sure it's the same quality as when we were there, because I know the owner was looking to sell it and retire. And he was such a nice guy. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, so hopefully the new owners are just as nice and offer as much good like tips about the area. Yeah. So back here, we're in, what part of Texas is this? Southwest. Southwest, right on the Rio Grande near Big Bend National Park. But this particular campground that we stayed at, again, we were in the cyclone and we couldn't get a site in the national park. They did have a couple sites in their main campground that were large enough for us, but there was two problems. One, they were all booked. And two, even if we'd have tried for a different time, I had read that they didn't have good internet. So we wanted to stay here at Maverick Ranch because one of the nice things about it is it's a campground, but then right across the street, they also own a resort that has a hotel and it has a business center. And so you can go over there and use all the amenities at the resort, including that business center, which does have internet. And so since we're still working full time, you know, we had to have access to that while we were there. But I mean, we really love this one also. I mean, you know, you keep hearing us talk about the beauty. I think everywhere we've traveled in the country so far, we just comment on how beautiful it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see some things that were here. One thing that we really liked it is we were meeting friends there and they had these things called buddy sites. And the great thing about those is that your doors kind of face each other and your picnic tables are on the same side. But do you see the distance here? So even though it's a buddy site, you're still not like right on top of each other because like Sean said, he's an introvert. He might want to hang out with friends, but not every minute of every day. So the buddy sites were really nice there. They did have a pool, but we didn't use it because it was kind of cool. It was kind of a little cool the time of year that we were there. But we did do some really fun activities, like with friends again, we went, they do have a little entry station where they have the Customs and Border Patrol, like one person's there and you can go get rowed across the Rio Grande for $5 and ride a donkey into town.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really a lot of fun. And then the other thing that we really loved was that we did a ton of hiking. And we did that hiking here. This is at the Big Bend Ranch State Park.
Which you can access right from the campground.
Yep. And then this is over at Big Bend National Park, which was about, what, a 40-minute drive?
Yeah, 40, 45 minutes.
Yeah. And, oh, tell them about the dark sky.
Oh, yeah. And it's a dark sky area. And it was the first time in my life I've ever seen the Milky Way so bright and clear in the sky. It was amazing. I just sat out there at night and just watched because so many stars, and we saw the International Space Station go over, just everything. It was just amazing at night to just sit outside and look up in the sky and just sit there for hours and just be amazed at how big it is.
Yeah, and the national park and the state park got together in the little town called Terlingua, which is right in between those two parks, and did a really cool program too. And I think they did that like every month. So it was really neat.
Heidi's saying they're putting up high-speed internet at each site. They were starting that when they were there last year.
Nice. Yeah. So
yeah,
then
the internet was a little bit shaky out there. So
yeah, we had to go over to the business center if we really wanted it to be reliable. Otherwise, it was kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my favorite places in the US.
Yeah. So now we're skipping all the way over to Florida. Our last two are actually going to be Florida. And this one, it's called Sigsbee Campground, and it is on an annex of Key West Naval Air Station. So it might sound like bragging, because I'm sorry to say that you can only stay here if you're active military, or retired DOD. Or if you have a family member who's one of those, they can sponsor someone on. And actually, unfortunately, this year, because of COVID and because of the fact that there's just not a lot of facilities there in the Keys, it's very limited. And at Sigsbee in particular, it's not open except for active duty this year, and only active duty stationed there. So not even active duty, but we definitely, I mean, this is huge on our list to go back to.
This was a great place. Very awesome. You can see where the RVs are. You can take 15 steps out of your RV and be fishing.
Yep.
And I did a lot of fishing there. It was a lot of fun. And then just the view right outside your window. The temperature was perfect most days. We were there, in December. And, you spend there, you had to spend 2 weeks in full hookups and then 2 weeks in dry camping. And the dry camping didn't bother us at all because we hardly needed to run AC or heat. And so we had our solar panels.
Windows down.
Yeah, and we had to run our generator just a couple of times to charge up the batteries when it was raining a couple of days. But otherwise, it was sunny every day and perfect weather most of the time.
And the other thing that we loved about it is that you could ride your bike right into the historic part of Key West, which was a lot of fun. And as a matter of fact, bike riding is so popular there. They have this group that gets together at least once a month and sometimes more often for organized bike rides. And this was the Christmas parade that I did. We all put lights and some people really dressed up a lot and went out and rode our bikes. But I think our favorite part was this.
Yeah, we took the seaplane out to Dry Tortugas National Park. You can also take a ferry, but the views from the plane were spectacular. And the pilot flies only about 600 feet all the way out there. And so it was just incredible views, hundreds of sea turtles, big stingrays, just incredible views all the way out there. And the flight wasn't bad.
No,
I set up in the very front in the co-pilot seat. So I had a pretty good view all the way out and it was amazing.
Everyone has a window seat. Like Sean said, though, you can save a little bit of money by taking the ferry. The seaplane is kind of expensive. We saved money by staying on the base, so we were able to splurge on the seaplane. But then also when you're here out on the island, they have this fort. This photo was taken from inside the fort. It's this old fort that you can just climb around and kind of explore a little bit. They weren't running any tours, I don't think, when we were there. No. Oh, and they even have tent camping for people who want to stay overnight on the island. It had a little gift shop.
And the snorkeling was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Actually, I think that was if we had to pick a favorite national park.
Yeah. Well, Big Bend.
Big Bend would be really close.
Yeah. But the snorkeling at Dry Tortugas is like something you probably hardly ever see again in your life, I think.
Yeah.
Just fish everywhere. And that was the highlight of our Key West trip. And I just have to agree with Asheville George, who said Key West is simply fun.
It is. Right. It's a lot of fun. We would ride our bikes into Taco Tuesday every week and meet up, it was like other people in the campground. They actually created this Facebook group and people would say, hey, I'm going to Taco Tuesdays. And I can't remember the name of the place, but where, and each different night. And so sometimes we would meet up with people. Sometimes it would just be the two of us, but it was always
music everywhere. Great. It was like an island paradise in the United States.
Yes, yeah. Yes, definitely high on our list to go back. And if you can't stay at Sigsbee, you will have to budget a little bit because most places are very expensive. There are 2 state parks, Florida state parks in the Keys, but you got to book them 11 months in advance if you want to be able to stay for the full 2 weeks. If you're willing to stay just a couple of nights, then you can get them more at the last minute. But if you want to stay for the full 2 weeks, you have to kind of plan in advance. And then if you really want to go all out and splurge, there's this place called Blue Water Key RV Resort. Some friends of ours stayed there and shared some pictures. Look it up online. It is primo, but just so you know, the sites are $200 plus a night.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Bob asked, what was the cost of the flight? Do you remember?
Okay, so the cost of the flight, I want to say it was like $200 for both of us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty pricey, but it was like, to us, a once in a lifetime thing to splurge on that. We saved money by riding our bikes every day and staying on the base and things like that. So yeah, but it was pretty pricey.
And Asheville George again commented that Fort Jefferson is where Dr. Mudd was imprisoned after helping John Wilkes Booth. And we did see his cell there.
Yeah, we read about that.
Yeah, and it's a lot of history there at that fort that you wouldn't otherwise suspect that, some pretty big name prisoners were there during those times. So, and it was probably not a great place to be in prison.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
No. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of people died from like, I don't know, cholera or something, one of those diseases like that where they have all these people crowded in. And
yeah, it was nice history, but the snorkeling there is just incredible.
Something else.
Yeah.
So we were talking about places that cost $200 a night to stay. So don't get us wrong when we talk about splurging. We only splurge on a few occasions because we save on most locations. And this next one, though, is a splurge. And it's something that we've been trying to do once a year now for the last couple of years. And usually we like to try to coincide with our friends, Kenny and Sabrina. Again, Kenny is Sean's podcast partner from Beyond the Wheel podcast. And him and Sabrina also have their own YouTube channel, which is great and is called Moving Forward Adventures. So definitely check them out. But Fort Wilderness, this is Disney World in Orlando, Florida. And there are other places that you can stay around there, but we're going to tell you why we think that Fort Wilderness is such a great deal. So first we'll start with the sites. The great thing about Fort Wilderness is that they have different types of sites. So if you have, they have tent camping sites, they have pop-up or very small camper sites. And then they have, we stayed in, and this is a photo of what's known as a
premium
preferred site. It was in November over $100 a night. And then they have the premium and the Meadows premium, and those are where they get into the $200 a night. So it is pricey, but it's something that it's like throughout the year, we're going to save money and we're going to splurge when we go to Fort Wilderness. You do save money in some other aspects of staying at Fort Wilderness, though, because they have free transportation over to all the parks, either by boat to the Magic Kingdom or by bus to the other places. And they even have an internal bus system. We didn't use the internal bus system into the fort itself because we rode our bikes.
Yep.
But you can take a bus even just from your campsite to where the boat is or where the other one is.
Or you can rent a golf cart.
Oh yeah, that's huge there. We didn't rent golf carts either because we rode our bikes, but that's huge there. People ride golf carts. And here's one of the reasons. This next picture here shows you what people do at the holidays. They go all out. This was an example of a Christmas display. Halloween, same thing. I mean, people will rent an extra site just to decorate, and it's almost always Disney themed. And so people will rent golf carts and do something called looping, because Fort Wilderness has more than 300 sites. But as you can see, there's lots of trees and stuff. And they're all set up in loops, in circles, basically, but they call them loops. And people ride their bikes or their golf carts around and look at all the great decorations. And it's really a fun time, even if you're not going to the park. And if you get like an annual pass, it's nice because you can go to the park just for like a couple hours and then come back and enjoy the fort.
Yeah, and in your sites, you have like, it's kind of like there's trees or bushes between the sites. So it seems like a little more private and less crowded than it actually is, which I thought was really a good thing. Even though you don't spend a lot of time just in your RV.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that little bit of privacy.
There's a lot of free activities to do there. So like they have a pool, well, they have two pools. One is known as the quiet pool, and it's more just a swimming pool. And then this one, although they both have hot tubs, I believe. And then this one has this big water slide back here. So, you know, that one, the kids really love that one a lot. And then they have playgrounds at different points around there. They have all these walking and bike trails. And then they even have these ponds that you can fish from. They have kayaks and boats that you can rent. They have an outdoor movie under the stars, they call it. And they have this big theater. I didn't save a picture here, but I do have a video just on Fort Wilderness also, where they have a sing-along every night. And they have these big campfires where they do s'mores. Of course, you have to pay for the s'more stuff or you have to bring your own. I would recommend bringing your own because obviously it's overpriced like any other place. And then they have the Chip and Dale characters and things like that. So it's really a good time. There's a lot of stuff to do all around the fort. And then of course, like I said, there's the free transportation that goes to all the different parks.
And there's the horse stables there where you can do trail rides.
Yep.
There's also cabins there if you don't want to take your RV and stay in they have cabins.
Or if you have
rent.
family that want to come and they don't want to be in, crowded into one RV.
There's restaurants.
They're like gift shops, but they call them trading posts. And they not only have gifts, but they have like little things like kids can buy these little box of rocks and then they do like a mining thing. And they have like different activities, like where you can buy a little kit and do tie-dye Mickey shirts. I mean, there's really a ton to do at Fort Wilderness.
And you can also just go to the other hotels and look around. I mean, Kenny and Sabrina taught us that, and there's some cool stuff in these other hotels that are almost like museums, I would say.
Like they took us to was it the Animal Kingdom Lodge, or I think it was the Animal Kingdom Lodge, where it's like a safari there. Well, not a safari because you're not riding, but like a outdoor park, not a zoo, because they had like giraffes and rhinoceros and hippos and alligators that you could see. And people who stay in those resorts can even see them, from their rooms, with a lot of really good restaurants.
And then the highlight, I think, of that trip was of the trip we took with Kenny and Sabrina there was the behind the scenes tour we did in
Animal Kingdom
Park. That was really cool. You get really behind the scenes there. So that was worth every penny, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of little extras, Again, it adds up. So we actually have a fund where we budget all year for our November Disney trip. And, Disney might not be your thing. It might be Key West, right? Because like I said, we saved at Key West by staying on base. Some people save by staying in state parks, but you might want to budget all year to stay at that Blue Water Key Resort. And then Big Bend, as much as we loved it, and we did love the Maverick Ranch, the national park there is also really nice. And they have 3 different campgrounds. You have to have a pretty small RV to stay at 2 of the 3 campgrounds though. So hopefully we gave you some options, not only of campgrounds, but of destinations as well.
Yeah, I think that's why we liked all of these, is because it wasn't just the campground, it was the destination that we were at.
Yeah, and many times for us, we're staying in more of a like resort or RV park type place just because we need the internet capability. But I do actually want to go back to Big Bend and stay like a couple of weeks over at the Maverick Ranch because it's such a phenomenal location to that state park. And let me tell you, that state park was as great as the national park.
Yeah.
But then I'd also like to go and stay, I think, in the national park just to be a little bit closer to those types of things. So it would also be just nice to split it up.
And David Long said, don't forget to mention you'll need a bike or a golf cart, which we did say.
Yeah.
But the golf carts need to be reserved well in advance. You can't expect to get one like you pull in and say, oh, I need a golf cart too. You might be out of luck. And I think they're kind of pricey as well.
Yeah, I think they're like $50 a day or something like that. I think. But, the great thing about all the extras is you pick the things that really matter to you. So you want to stop share? How do we do that? Oh, here, I see it right here. Okay. And you know what we'd like to hear from you right now is if you just drop in the comments real quick, like what's your favorite destination, whether it's a campground or whether it's just the place that we have to see, like the national park or the state park, because, I think that's how we built our whole list. As a matter of fact, talking about Big Bend, I don't think that was ever on our bucket list. No. I mean, we were stationed, this is embarrassing to admit, we were stationed in San Antonio on Sean on 2 different occasions. 3 times, 2 before he met me. And we were stationed there together and we never went out there all that time that we were there. And then I think it was actually when we were in San Antonio and we met some people that we met in person, some people that we had met through Instagram. So again, either here or Instagram, please let us know if you think our paths are going to cross. Instagram's easier because you can kind of see where we're at and see which direction we're headed. But they said, hey, we see you're going to be like out in San Antonio, and they were in Fredericksburg, which was not far away. Let's meet up for lunch somewhere. So we did. And then they were telling us about Big Bend. And they convinced us.
Yeah.
So we made reservations and we told them, hey, this was like in February. And we said, in November, we're going to Big Bend. And they said, really? We'll go too. And we said, okay. And then we met up there again. And like I said, these were not people we knew before we started RVing. We just met along the way and we got these great suggestions, and it turned out to be one of our favorite spots.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bob, the thing I think we like about Big Bend is that it has everything in one national park. You can be high up in the mountains. You can be you can be in the desert. You can be on the river. They have everything right there, and there's so much wildlife there too. We saw bobcat, bear,
tarantulas,
a
ton of tarantulas,
coyotes, wolves, everything right there at Big Bend. It's just
those pig things called.
Oh yeah, javelinas. Not actually a pig.
I know.
But it's just an amazing place, and the history out there, and the way people survived before, to learn about that they actually farmed in this land. Just an amazing place. I mean, I could live there. That's how much I like Big Bend.
When we were there, he said, I could live here. And I said, I could live here if he got a private pilot's license and we got a plane, because it's so far away though from like all of our kids. And there is this like little private airstrip. So I said, hey, if you wanted to get your private pilot's license in a plane, then I could live here, because I'd miss my kids too much otherwise. I mean, because it's just such a long drive. And
Glacier and Tetons, they sound great as well.
That's on our bucket list. I'm glad someone said that.
Kartchner State Park, Kenny said, with the caverns.
Which is in Arizona, not too far from Tucson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wheeling with the Wendy's, like Zion and Bryce area.
And we still haven't been to any of those Utah top 5. So yes, thanks for recommending that. Hey, did you guys stay at Boondock or stay in campgrounds when you were in Utah? I'd love to know that.
And George, like Custer State Park in South Dakota. Awesome.
I've heard great things about that.
And the state parks in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which we were scheduled to be there this year, and COVID kind of ruined it for us.
We had a 6-week-long trip with reservations all up around the UP, and then we were going to finish out down near Detroit and the Greenfield Village with the Henry Ford stuff, I think. And yeah, we ended up canceling because of COVID, because like I said, although you can social distance in RVs, and we found lots of places around the Mid-Atlantic to do it in, I was just afraid that it might be a little too crowded there.
And Wheeling with the Wendy's said I look 10 years younger without the beard.
Without the beard, yeah. If you guys don't know us well, you'll have to go back to an older video. Oh, he's going to show a photo.
No. I'm looking for the reason why I shaved it.
But he had a really, go on Facebook real quick. He had, and he'll look for something really quick while I'm talking. So he had, anyhow, if you go back to previous videos, he had a really big beard, and it's varied over the last couple of years. But the main reason why, also, if you guys don't know us, is that Sean and I both were in the Air Force. I was in the Air Force for 20 years, and Sean was in the Air Force for 15 and the Army for 5, the first 5. And then he got smart and went over to the Air Force, and that's where I met him. So I got lucky. And almost all Air Force or military guys seem to do this when they retire after 20 years, is they just let that thing grow out, because otherwise they had to shave every single day, you know, for those 20 years. But the reason why he shaved, and the reason why we actually bought a home base in Virginia, we're going to share the screen to show you. You got to hit share. Is we just became grandparents. So this is our grandson, and he just turned 2 weeks old on Monday. So what does shaving have to do with that, Sean?
Well, since it's COVID time, we wanted to be responsible grandparents. And so we wear an N95 mask when we go visit Jack's. And in order for the mask to fit properly, you shouldn't have any facial hair. So I shaved the facial hair, and just so I could go see him. So
Yeah.
as soon as COVID's over, I'll grew the beard back nice and long, and we'll be back to normal. But right now I want to be able to see our grandson, so I had to be responsible and shave so I'm not spreading any potential germs, COVID germs to him.
Yeah.
So,
and that was our beautiful daughter-in-law, and this is our wonderful son. And of course, they're our heroes right now because we are just overjoyed to be grandparents.
And Laura said Utah is amazing to go spend time in.
I don't know where stop share is now.
So
I saw it before, but then it disappeared on me. Utah is awesome for what?
For checking out the parks and everything.
Oh, checking out the parks and all that. So. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to go to Utah. We just didn't make, I mean, there's just, my bucket list is still so long. So I definitely appreciate all your suggestions. We still plan on doing plenty of RV travel. We've actually taken quite a few trips this year. We just stayed a little closer to Virginia, Pennsylvania, all around there while we were waiting for the grandson to arrive and also kind of getting the house into shape. And this photo right here behind us is actually one of the things we love the most about our house. This is the parking spot on our land right here for our RV. So we're actually able to park the RV right here. That way it is loaded up and ready to go at a moment's notice.
So lots of great comments, and thanks everybody for watching. And even if you're watching this while it's not live, go ahead and feel free to put your favorite locations in the comments so we can check them out ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
And until we see you on the road, safe travels, everybody.